everybody. Welcome to the Eventual podcast. I am your host, Leavia, and today is February 23rd, 2019, and it is a nice, pretty warm 32 degrees out, which is pretty good. It's been comparatively warm the last week or so. We did have another snow day, I think our 5th for the year, on Wednesday. It was pretty snowy, and it's one of those where if the timing had been a little different, we could have probably went to work, but the bulk of the snow happened smack dab during the 6 to 9 times, and that makes it impossible to drive through, and so we did end up calling a snow day. But everything was cleared out, I think, by the afternoon, and it just afforded me another sweet day of knitting, and I was so happy. It's been about a month-ish since I did my last podcast, and a lot of that was due to the fact that I just wasn't either doing a lot of knitting, or I was only kind of working on the one project, and I felt like I wouldn't be able to give a meaningful podcast. But one of my podcasts that I listened to, I want to say it was the 2U's, they decided that they were going to do their Fiberuary challenge in the podcast, and I thought that was super cool, because if you watched my last podcast, you would have seen me say I didn't think that the Fiberuary challenge was for me, partly because my Instagram is still generally my personal Instagram, and it feels kind of weird to, I don't know, introduce myself to people that I know in real life. I don't know what it is, that insecurity, not sure. But I thought that was super cool to try to do it on your podcast. And gonna be honest, I didn't do a lot of prep for the Fiberuary challenge. I figured I'd just answer each question as it comes along, and that it will work out just fine and everyone will be happy for that. So I have a new mug. It is the Gigi Made It mug. It is amazing. It makes me so happy. I stocked it for months. I went back and forth. Should I own it? Should I not own it? It's me personally, I don't think it's weird to own anything that is from people of color that shows people of color. I think it's amazing and cool. But I also don't want to step on anyone's toes. There probably are people out there who think that I shouldn't own makers of color stuff. I don't want anyone to think that I'm stealing their culture and using it for my own things. And I felt this way. I was really nervous about when Black Panther came out, and I was just enchanted by the movie, by all of the knits in it. It blew me away. I was one of those people who immediately after the movie went and looked up concept pictures and took screenshots of everything that I could to see if I could put together a shawl like the one with the Nero yarn, that green Nero yarn in the movie. And I know that they got the original designer involved, and they talked about the original pattern and how it was 4 different yarns and all this kind of stuff. And then later it's are you appropriating sort of the Wakanda culture for your own self? And I don't want to step on people's toes. If there's a space that's not for me, that's fine. I understand, I get it. I don't want to steal things or copy things or make it if it's not a place where I belong. And I totally get that. I can appreciate from afar. I never did end up making that shawl, but I for sure have all of those forums saved, and I think they did eventually release an actual pattern, and I am so for it at some point. And with this mug, I did message Gigi, and I asked her what were her thoughts on it, and she was very Gigi about it, where she was like, hell no, if you want the mug, buy the mug, who cares? And I was like, cool, I just want to make sure that I'm not committing a huge faux pas. I really don't want to do that, and I think it's better to ask and feel a little dumb than to insult people. So point is, amazing mug. Oh my god, look at this gorgeous woman. Look at her beautiful knitting. Love it. Makes me so happy. So happy. So this is what I got. I got also a new tea. It's an organic peach cobbler from, I want to say Tazo. Yeah, I think it's Tazo. And it is super good, way more mild than I would have imagined, which is awesome because, you know, I think some of their like orange flavors and stuff like that are way too flavorful. This is a black tea, I believe, so maybe that's why it's not like herbal and not full of super herbal flavors, but it's super good. Love it. So I am going to get on with my little Fiberuary challenge. Depending on how long it takes, I will maybe move into a general podcast, but in the meantime, let's just call this our special Fiberuary podcast. So let's get started. First thing, let's see, I'm gonna pull it up here. First one is, hi, my name is. Hi, I'm Leah. My name rhymes, it's Leah Via, and it's always been like that. I don't think was purposeful on my parents' part to make my name rhyme, but it does. My mom wanted to name me Jennifer, and then I think it was super common. I was born in 87, so like at the time I think it was a super common name, like Jenny's and stuff like that. So in the end she ended up moving it to my middle name and named me Leah, and it ended up being Leah Via. And I've gone through periods of my life where I hated it, periods of life where I loved it. Generally I'm pretty happy with it because like my nickname is my full name, Leah Via, and so it's pretty good. I have been knitting for quite a while. I know I just did an intro post like 3 posts ago, so I'm not going to get into that, but yeah, nice to meet you. Number 2, when I'm not knitting. When I am not knitting, I am probably sleeping or playing dance games, playing ITG in the group. And that, if people are like, what is in the groove, what is ITG, what is any of that stuff, let's see if I can find a picture here of dance games. We have a full-size arcade machine in our house, and so we play on that often. I don't have a picture of me, I'll just show you a picture of it. Shout outs to D-Mac, my friend. So you see the arcade machine over here. That is the ITG machine. You see it's a 4-panel foot game. Most people that I know play in their socks. Some people play in their shoes. I've started playing in something that is basically in between socks and shoes. They're called Mizunos, and they're like kind of like a foam shoe with a super light part for like the part that covers your feet. And I play that for exercise and for fun. I really like rhythm games, so that is a rhythm game that you do with your body, and it's super hard work and it's really fun. And I also enjoy video games. I don't play as many as I watch. I do watch my friends play video games a lot, and that's something I've done for the last decade or more. And I get just as much enjoyment a lot of times, in fact sometimes more enjoyment out of watching people play video games than playing them myself, because then I can also be doing something at the same time, like knitting. And so as I have begun to knit more, I have begun to play games less, but I continue to watch my friends play games. I also often have a show on in the background at all times, and that often looks like the same shows that I watch forever, and that's like The Office US, King of the Hill, Sex and the City, Friends, Parks and Rec. Until they had taken it off, it was Scrubs a little, just kind of like those general comedies. I also really enjoy watching any sort of documentary about things, documentary I don't think is the right word, but shows about gardening and tending the land and learning about food. Like I really loved Chef's Table, those kinds of things. I like those kinds of shows, like shows that aren't quite reality TV, because I hate reality TV, but that are like about real life stuff. I used to be super big into, of course, the like horror food documentaries, and those kind of just make me sad now, so I don't like watching those anymore. Oh, I also like to pet my cats. I have a cat over here. He's just existing. The other one will probably be around sometime soon. My first project, I actually did do a little bit of research on this one because I was like, I know I have pictures somewhere. And on my original Eventual Knits blog, I have all of my first projects. Oh my God. So I started knitting in 2007. And my first projects are these tiny little janky washcloths. And it's so funny to read the descriptions. I was so upset that the white yarn in this pooled. So funny. And then I was really proud of how big my second, the pink and blue variegated washcloth came out. I was apparently trying to knit less tightly, and it was showing the comparison of how tightly I knit the same needles and how tightly I knit. And I said that I had a lot of ends to weave in on the striped one, so I must have I must have cut every single end when I switched colors, which is so funny. And it also kind of looks like a slanty garter, so I wonder if I was doing it incorrectly. Soon after that, so I learned how to knit using my Kids Learn to Knit book, and I still have that book. I really like it. I don't make anything out of it, but it just like has a lot of nostalgia. It really helped me actually learn how to knit. And one of the first projects is a washcloth that uses a stockinette, garter, and seed stitch, and it's such a good idea. And so my very first one looks like this. And it, let's see if I turn on the brightness here, if that helps. That helps more. And you can see like it has holes in it. Apparently those are holes not where I dropped stitches, but where my cats were kittens at the time. Like actual kittens. They would have been 4 months old at the time, and they apparently chewed on my yarn, and I just kept knitting with it, and so it had some thin and broken spots where the cats chewed through it. But this one is particularly funny because halfway through, you see on this one, I don't know if you can tell, but here is like the backward side stockinette, and then on the other side it's like the 2 rows of stockinette and the 1 row of, whoops, got it backwards because I got it switched. I guess I had ripped back and tried starting over, and I not started over, but like screwed up a section and tried to pull back, and then accidentally started on the wrong side, and I couldn't tell. Like, do you remember those days where like you couldn't read your knitting and everything felt like a mystery? I tried again on a different washcloth, and that worked out better. You can't really see, I think, the individual stitches in this, and you can see all of this yarn is cheap. Joanne's yarn, I'm sure or Michael's probably, because I probably worked at Michael's at that time. I knit a cozy, super proud of that. All of these, I mean, were posted, what, August 26th, August 27th, August 28th of 07. I was like trying to make a baby blanket. That's this teal one over here. I made up a like Deathly Hallows wristband that I was super proud of. And then I think I would say my first real project attempt was some gloves. You will notice that the fingers are inside out. I like noticed this. I say on here, and actually I don't. It says, okay, so the pointer and middle fingers are a bit tight because I had a lot less stitches to work with than the pattern called for because I have small wrists and hands. The pinky is way too big also, but I made it through and the thumb looks good. Like, it's like, I feel like I remember being like, I think it's supposed to look like the body of the hand, which is stockinette. and it looks like the inside, like they're the opposite. And I was like, maybe it's supposed to be like that. And I remember being so proud. You can see too right here, I dropped a stitch and I didn't notice it till I was finished. So I just went in and I put some yarn through it, and I just, you know, wove it in and was like, yep, good, call it good. Very proud of the other side. Like, hey, I got fingerless gloves. I never did knit the second one of that, and I said that I didn't think I was going to in the thing because it was so hard and so much work, but I did it. And that was posted on October 25th. I feel like that's my first like attempt at a project. And then my first like real finished project was just this really simple baby blanket. It was quite small for one of my nieces. So those are my first projects. I'm so glad I still had those pictures. I mean, I started knitting in 2007. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure I still had a flip phone. Like, I am so happy that, excuse me, Nero. Oh, there's nothing in there. That's okay. I started knitting back when like cameras weren't really like all that much of a thing. Digital cameras were like the big deal, and like it was they're expensive and hard to get, and so I'm just glad that I have pictures somewhere on the internet of my first projects, because I don't think I have those anymore. I might have one or two somewhere in like my storage or something. Welcome to my Nero. This is Nero. It's one of my cat boys. My cats are going to be 12 in April. I have had them since they were 6 weeks old, and they're my babies. Okay, next question. My current project. Ooh. So the current project that I am mostly working on, that I've been spending my time working on, I just started on Monday, is the Goldfish Memory Shawl by Casapinka. And this is where I'm at so far. Super loving it. The yarns, wow, you are purring so loud. Where's my, one of the yarns is Hedgehog Fiber Sock Yarn, 100 grams, 400 meters, 90% superwash merino, 10% nylon. And it is in the colorway Banana Legs. I assume that that is the yellow, which looks like this. I really love all of these colors because they all have the little random speckles. This has speckles of mostly green, kind of blacky looking, and it like varies from like a neon kind of yellow to more of a mustard yellow, and I really, really enjoy it. And then my second color that I'm using is, oh no, I don't know how to pronounce it out loud. Is it Qing? Is it Qing fiber? The Q-I-N-G, is that Qing? Or is it King fiber? Excuse me. Hand dyed in the UK. If someone knows, tell me how to pronounce that. It's High Twist BFL, 100% superwash BFL wool, 365 meters, 100 grams, in the colorway Salt. And that is this, which is awesome because it has so many different colors of speckles. So fun to work with. So exciting. And then lastly, I just have to find where that last one went. I know it's around here somewhere. Sorry, Grim. I have like a pile of other stuff. Oh, is this it? And this is Hedgehog Fiber Sock. Same thing, 100 grams, 90% superwash merino, 10% nylon, in the color Anemone. And that is in this like really, really rich sort of like orange. And Anemone is such a good description for this because it has like kind of a seaweed green speckles and it has little bits of pink in there. It does kind of remind me of like an anemone, or like, you know, like being in the sea. Got like darker like black speckles too. All of this yarn is super fun to knit with. Oh my god, like when you're like knitting and just going along and you're like, hey, like these little pink guys, or like these ones who ended up on top of each other, two little pink ones. Whoop, just a little peak of green here. Like, oh my gosh, it's so fun to knit with. I'm on the 4th section of the Goldfish Memory Shawl. I am 2 repeats in of 4 for this, which is using both the colorways 1 and 3. So I had the yellow be my colorway 1, orange be my colorway 2, and the like white be the colorway 3. So loving it. It's knitting up super fast. Each of the parts is easy to memorize. Great time. And these are in a bag that I just got custom made from Wuthering Sheep. And oh my god, look how cute this is, you guys. It's so cute. It's so sturdy. It has a little pocket in here. It fits all 3 of my balls of yarn comfortably, like they're all side by side in there. They're all side by side in there, and I can obviously fit my shawl in there. You see it kind of got a little wrinkly because it's a little small for 3 balls of yarn and a shawl. But I love it so much. It's super soft, super high quality. The inside, so cute. Oh my god, love the colors. So glad I picked the mauve colors. Very, very good. Ooh, that reminds me, the Sweet Tea No Shade guys talked about the pronunciation of mauve versus mauve, and they said that in Minnesota, everyone says mauve. And when I was listening to that, was like, I'm pretty sure I say mauve. But then when they said it, I wasn't sure which one I said, so I had to try to say it when I wasn't really thinking about it. I believe I say mauve, or maybe like an in-between, mauve? I don't know. But this purpley color, mauve or mauve, I think mauve. Oh, ooh, and it has a strap, and it has like the little twisty yarn for the zipper. And I have earrings that are like twisty yarn too. I don't know by whom, but so that's my current project. That's what I'm primarily working on right now. One podcast I love. So I mentioned last time that I had watched a video by a woman who calls herself Nadira Tani. I think I pronounced it Nadira Tani in my last one because I hadn't heard it said, but later she did introduce herself on her YouTube, and I think she says it all the time, probably on every episode, but it's Nadira Tani is how she pronounces it. And I started watching her YouTube, and it's amazing. You have to watch it. Ray of sunshine, like brightens my day. I started watching all of her backlogs of videos. She is such like a fun, cute little personality, and also she lives in Florida, so she gets like all of the sunshine. Like if I opened this window, you would not be able to see anything. It would just be pure white because outside is pure white, and it is just we broke our record for the most snowfall in February. Yay! This year. So far, and it's snowing even more. It snowed a couple inches last night. It's supposed to snow for like 6 hours today, and I think it's supposed to snow again on Monday. So much snow. So watching her podcast, and she's got her little tank tops on, and she's definitely warm. Like, makes me feel warm. What a good feeling. Warmth. Not just everyday endless snow. So, that's a podcast that I love. Hers is the Quirky Monday Craftcast, I think is what she calls it. And watch it. It will make your life better. You will be so happy. This is my fiber family. I don't have a fiber family. I am a really big introvert. I don't go to like knit nights. I don't really like meeting people, which is kind of a lie. I do like meeting people, but like, like having like a firm commitment to like having a knit night or having people that I knit with, that really stresses me out to think about. However, one of my like goals for this year is to like reach out more, because I really would like to be a part of a knitting community more so. I have started following more people on Instagram in an effort to sort of connect with them, and like making an effort to make comments on podcast episodes and YouTube episodes and on people's Instagram pages, so that I feel like I am more connected to other people, because I guess I do really want that. It's just so hard as an introvert to like really do that. I would say that like my fiber family is mostly my boyfriend, my partner, my spouse, whatever you want to call him. You know, we've been together 10 years, and he highly supports my yarn addiction. He loves helping me pick out colors and talking over projects and coming with me to yarn stores. And as I mentioned in a different podcast, he even goes through and buys yarn. He is brave enough to buy a spin cycle yarn for me because he knows I'm gonna like it. Like, so grateful for him. I have a local yarn store, and I stopped going to it for a while because it felt kind of out of date and quaint, and I started going to Stephen B, which is a really I don't know if it's really famous, but a relatively famous yarn shop in St. Paul. And then the second I went back to my old yarn store, they had upgraded all of their stuff to have most of the same yarns that Stephen B has, which with a much more toned down presentation. Don't get me wrong, Stephen B's amazing. I love how all the projects are. I love how they set out samples. I love how they make suggestions. It's a really great yarn store. It's where I discovered hedgehog fibers. It's a really great store. And I also been working on giving the Yarnery more of a shot. I went there in the summer one time, and that's also in St. Paul, and Stephen B's in Minneapolis, and the Yarnery's in St. Paul, and I was not very impressed at the time, but I went there today, and it was better. So I'm just trying to like see what's a shop that's good to be part of, and so that. And then there's a young woman who started working at my local yarn store over here where I live on more the east side of the Twin Cities, and it's like, on paper I feel like we'd get along and be good friends, and maybe we should be friends, because there at that yarn store there aren't all that many young people who go there, and I also have never seen a person of color in that yarn store. I want to say, to be fair, that area is pretty white. That's where that specific yarn store is located. So the Yarnery is hosting a, what do they called it? They call it Knit Together at the Yarnery, One Yarn, and it's an event for BIPOC, LGBTQIA, and allies. And you best believe that I went there and I bought the One Yarn mug. Like, it's just gonna happen. You just can't. Yeah. But that is on the 3rd, so next Sunday, from 4 to 6, and I'm going there. Like, I think that is a really good opportunity for people like me who don't go to knit nights, and therefore, even though like I would generally probably be accepted at a knit night, that I wouldn't necessarily fit in. And so super excited to see a more broad range of people, although I feel like Minneapolis and St. Paul are both really good cities that are more diverse. I mean, they're both extremely diverse cities for their size. I know that they're both really small comparatively to like other big cities in the United States, but like for their size, the density of diversity is pretty big. And I feel like it's a really good opportunity to actually meet people who I might connect with more and be really happy to do so. So hopefully I'll be developing kind of a fiber family this year. throwback project. So I interpreted this as a project that you knit a while ago, not a project that is set in a different era. I think that there was some discussion of that somewhere else. So let's take a look. What's a project that I want to call out on my Ravelry? That is a throwback project. One that I would like to do a little throwback to, just a little bit. I'm gonna cheat on this one and do a few. I knit these World of Warcraft For the Horde gloves. Now, what is the bird for? The bird is the icon of torment for the Forsaken, pattern created from scratch. So, what I did for these is that I don't think I knew that thinner yarn existed, so I used worsted weight yarn for these gloves. These are fingerless gloves, and I knit them in whatever size, and then I created a square that I knit of both the Horde symbol and the icon of torment, and then it was like a patch basically, and then I sewed it onto the arm warmers. Yep, I just made two sort of patches and sewed them onto the arm warmers, is what I said. Oh. Hi Nero. That was a early 2009 project. All right, interesting. That's so funny. Oh, past the year, you're so precious. I would say, like, when I think throwback, I think this scarf. This was my first attempt at my duplicate stitching, duplicate stitch. It was the thing that got me started on scarves. I made this for Steve in 2009, and I was so proud of it. It was, basic Final Fantasy scarf. Oh, look at baby Leah, 2009. And the pattern that I used was from, why are you smelling my yarns like that and messing all of everything up, please? And I think it was from Craftsy back before. I feel like Craftsy wasn't the same as it is now, and it might not even be Craftsy, but one of those like crafting sites. And the person who made the scarf just did a single, and I was like, it curls in, it's all stuck in it. Like, I decided instead to knit a tube, and I did that all the way up, and then I put the little square edging on, and then I duplicate stitched everything onto there, and I was so happy with how it looked that it really created. Since then, I started selling scarves on Etsy, and they sold pretty well, but I just don't have the energy and time to be knitting 70-inch 60-inch long tubes of stockinette anymore. And so but that is the project that really got me going for selling my scarves, and the tradition of knitting a scarf for each of my friends. And so that created a lot of really fun situations where I make different types of scarves for each of my friends that fits things that they like, and people still wear them, it's just a thing. And so that is my throwback project. He likes to do this thing where he lays on the arms. That's his thing. I don't know. He just has to have his arms on your arms, and that is just the way it goes. Sorry if you can hear Steve's podcast. He must have forgotten that I am recording. Knit or crochet? Well, knit. I never learned, so I taught myself to knit, and so I did that by watching this knitting DVD that came, I think, with a little project from probably Joanne Fabrics, and I kind of learned how to knit from that, but not very well. And so, like I said, I taught myself to knit through that book, the kids book, and eventually it just clicked for me, and I got really good at it eventually when I started putting forth some effort. And then I learned how to crochet a couple years ago. I took a beginner's crochet class, and that was actually really fun. And then I crocheted an Afghan 2 summers ago. Let's see. I crocheted an Afghan. Oh, I called it my first Afghan. 2017. So I crocheted that. It's sitting over there. I would grab it if I didn't have a cat. It's not super big. It's just like a lap blanket. I started in the center and I went out in the kind of granny square pattern. And I was like, you know, like it's faster than knitting, and it's really cool to be able to do projects. I feel like there's a lot more versatility in terms of like literal like kind of 3D effects that you can do with crochet, but I'm so slow at it. And I knit whatever the US style is that continental? Whichever one the US style is, where I, with my right hand, I, you know, put the needle in and then I wrap it. So I'm a wrapper. And I feel like having to hold my yarn in my left hand is so difficult. It's like, are you even a hand? Like, I don't know, like, why? But I feel like I can't get tension very well. Like, my Afghan's fine. Like, I'm competent at holding yarn generally, so like, it's fine. But it's like, it feels very difficult. But then, Nidhi Ratani, Kalisha, posted one of her most recent videos, and she has like a crocheted tee, and I didn't know until she was done talking about it that it was crochet, and I was like already in love with it, ready to make it. So let's do this. And then it's crochet. She said it was easy, and so I was like, I'm just gonna go check it out. Just gonna go look at the pattern. And there is a free version online. It's just like in the middle of a blog post that has a bunch of, you know, ads and product placement. I don't know. You know, it's a promoted, I believe, project. And I have it open in a tab right now on my in my browser. It is TL Yarn Crafts Crochet Summertime Tee, a breezy modern crochet top. Ha! Look how cute it is. It's so cute. Let's see if I can get this up there. Right here. It's so cute. Yeah, so, get those arms back on my arms. So anyway, I looked at the stitches that are required. It looks like I might be able to figure it out. Because it's gonna be loose, it's not gonna be fitted. And because you seam it up, I feel like it's something I can try. So I did go out and I did buy the yarn for it that I want for it. So I'm gonna try it. I still would say I'm definitely a knitter, not a crocheter, but I do like the idea of being able to be relatively competent in both. Also, that was number 8. Oh man, this is gonna be pretty long. Maybe I'll just do 14 of them today. 9th on my Ravelry queue. So I don't use Ravelry very well, other than adding my projects, and I try to add my yarns. I forget a lot of the time, and I am mad when I do, but I wish I was better at it, but I feel like I don't really use it that much. I only within the last like year, from listening to podcasts, started trying to use it, and then when people started posting what's their 9th thing in their queue, I was like, do I have anything in my queue? So I went and I like started putting things in there, and I don't have 9 things in my queue. I have 8. And they're probably not even in a particular order. But the 8th thing that I have in my queue is the Worsted Sock Arms by Stephanie Lavin, which I'm definitely going to knit this year, probably in the summer. So that's the 8th thing in my queue, is the Worsted Sock Arms sweater. That's my first attempt at a sweater. Super excited for it. Coffee or tea? Both. I can't pick. I mean, I guess coffee if I really had to pick, but I drink coffee and tea in about equal amounts. Like when I'm at work, I start the day with a big cup of tea. I usually even taller than this. This is almost the size of a medium like caribou drink. Like it's just like this much that doesn't fit in there, but this is a pretty big mug. So I try to use the big mug that is like maybe 16 or 20 ounces of tea in the morning, herbal tea, and then I drink a 20-ounce mug of coffee at work, and then after third hour, because I'm a teacher, after third hour, I like tell myself like you have to drink at least 20 more ounces of water before you can either finish your coffee if I didn't finish it, or before you can have more coffee or caffeinated tea. So I make sure to do that. I have like UTI problems, so I need to be consuming lots and lots of water all the time, and I feel, I mean, you should be hydrated, people, so I do try really hard to do that. I mean, if we're being totally honest, you do get hydration from coffee. Coffee is just bean water, but caffeine can obviously like be an irritant as well. So both. My life is so great with both. They're so good. Fingering or bulky or ? I used to like worsted and thicker. Like I didn't really make a lot of projects that were, I'm looking over my stash right now. Projects that were thicker. I don't think I knit with a lot of bulky weight. I have one project that I was super excited when I saw like I think it's a baby alpaca that's like halfway done, that I started like 3 years ago, that I saw the sample of in the shop, and it was amazing, and I immediately bought 4 yarns to make 2 different cowls, scarves, whatever, in it, and I never finished the first one. I will though. I will. It's so soft. Once I started knitting socks and finding sock yarn, I would say sock yarn and fingering weight yarn are definitely my favorites. Like when I use thicker yarn, I'm like, wow, it's so thick, why is this knitting up so fast? You're like, so surprised. Really, really like that thin, that small. It just feels so nice. I totally get it now. I remember when I first started listening to podcasts, I was like, why do you make everything in fingering? Like, isn't that so much work and so stressful? And turns out it's not, and it's like gorgeous and decadent and so, like I'm just like squeezing this yarn over here. So good. But I would say like I like all the yarns, but lately it's basically been sock yarn and fingering weight. Number 12, favorite color. I would say my favorite color is like a sea foam, kind of minty green, like kind of like my nails, but yeah, I would say that. It's hard to say. I really do like lots of different colors. Like I love this mauve, it's really good. Like I do like the kinds of greens, like orange. I don't know, I like all the colors. How can you pick just one? And I really feel like I haven't knit enough projects in specific colors to like say definitively, like, you know, Gigi, if Gigi made it, she knows her color is orange. Yarn Harlot, she knows her color is brown, apparently, according to her books that I've been reading, that she loves brown. Things like that. I don't know what my color is. I like a lot of colors. Number 13, Knitfluencer I love. I'm not really sure exactly what a Knitfluencer is. The only person that comes to mind who fits the bill is Yarn Harlot, Stephanie Pearl McPhee, because she's a knitter, but she is kind of an influencer, right? So I would pick her just because she is highly entertaining, very intelligent, very real and authentically herself, and I love her blog, love her books. She's super down to earth. Yeah, I like her. She's my Knitfluencer. And she's really was my gateway into like, so cute. Look at this baby. What a baby. She really is what opened the door for me. Like, I was like, I really enjoy her blog. She doesn't write all the time. And so what else is out there? And so I started finding other blogs, and that led me to podcasts, and like my knitting world blew up over the last like 2 years. And so I would say Stephanie Pearl McPhee. 14 just says love because of Valentine's Day. Yes, I would say yes, I am for love. In favor of love. Thank you, number 14. I will save the rest of these until my next time. Anything else I want to say before we go? I don't think so. I think that everything else should wait for another video. So thank you so much for listening to my part 1, apparently, of my Fiberuary challenge. And I look forward to seeing you soon. You can find me on Instagram as miss_ljv. You can look at show notes or anything like that on eventualknitspodcast.blogspot.com. You can find me on Ravelry as just Eventual. And yeah, get in touch with me, leave a comment here, message me on any of those platforms, follow me, ask me to follow you, whatever. Like, definitely check me out. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.